Great.
Ready? Now we going steady? Okay. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Guild, the second Guild call with the illustrious Nicole the Pole Williams. For the people who are jumping into this and they don't know what the Guild is, I'm gonna give a quick intro. That way it gives us a little bit of context, a little bit of a container moving forward, and it'll make a lot of things make a lot more sense, yeah? So what the Guild is, I'm a professional artist coach, and what I have seen is the power of what happens when artists come together and support each other. What happens when artists and creatives and business people of different industries can supply each other with not just accountability, but also feedback, support on projects. And best of all, we all learn different things in different ways, right? So there's things that Nicole has learned in her specific artistic journey that can really support me. Things that I would not understand, I wouldn't know unless I had the experiences that she did. And me as an artist, I can supply her with connections to people. I can supply her with little tips and tricks on like how to build your business or whatever it is that I've learned on my journey. And when we aggregate this knowledge, we as artists get to create so much more powerfully, so much more effectively, and so much, the best part, so much more painlessly. Yes. That's the best part. That's why we created this Guild, because I want us to all, more people joining, I want us all to appreciate, understand, and receive the value of what it's like to be supported in a community of people who understand the things that we're dealing with. Yeah? Does that make sense for everybody? I got a couple nods, couple smiles. Half of y'all like, I know what the fuck is going on, Amari. Let's move on with our lives. Fantastic. Will do. So for the people who weren't on the last one, I want to give like a quick 30-second recap of what the last one was like, because it'll give context for this one. Last time I brought on a German chap, and he goes by the name of Christoph Silber. He's an Emmy-winning producer. He's been nominated for a Golden Globes, blah, 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 a lot of cool Hollywood shit. And he came in because he wanted to talk about procrastination. So what does it look like for an artist to not get lost in this trap of, oh, you know, I'm a singer and I've been working on this album. How long have you been working on it? Since 2012. It's like, yo, it doesn't take that long. We are productive, we're efficient. A lot of times the things that are getting the way of our productivity aren't necessarily like technical things, not logistical things. It's a lot of like our own self-worth issues. It's a lot of how we view ourselves. It's a lot of the things that we've put in emotional blocks to getting shit done, right? So last week was procrastination productivity. This week, we're bringing on young Nicole Williams to talk about financial abundance. And the best part about financial abundance, not just making money to make money, but making money by being yourself. Because what I've found in my own time as a human being on this planet is that, cool, I had like the artistic success. A lot of people like, oh yeah, Mari, I can see your work and blah, 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 you're getting paid, and not feeling successful. When I actually started to feel successful was when I was getting paid for being Mari, right? And that's something that we're gonna talk about tonight, is not just how to monetize who you are, but knowing who you are and stepping into that and understanding how to charge appropriately. Yeah? Cool. Fan-fucking-tastic. So I'm gonna ask a question and I wanna get some feedback from you guys. What is in your mind, because I know we have artists in here, what in your mind is the job of an artist? And anybody can like wave their hand and I will call on you. If you have an idea, and it's not, you're not gonna get it wrong. This is not a test. Deanna Daniel, go ahead, go for it. Tell me, what is the job of an artist?
I think the job of an artist is to create a reaction through the art that they create. Create a reaction in someone else.
That was better than my answer, goddamn. You just ruined the entire call. Anybody else? Anybody else have an idea? Anastasia Bachikala, what is the job? Oh, Michelle, okay, go for it. Feel like we're in a classroom. Go for it, Michelle.
Sorry, I was unmuting. The job of an artist, in my opinion, is to share like a unique perspective of like whatever our experience is with the rest of the world through our art.
Sharing a unique perspective. Okay, beautiful. And then remind me how you phrased yours, Deanna. You can go back on mute, Michelle, thank you.
Yeah, I said to create a reaction in someone else through the work that you create.
Okay, so if we combine those things, we're talking about a unique perspective that when offered creates a response in somebody else, right? I love that. That's fantastic. That's beautiful. That's excellent. Because for me, when I was thinking about this concept and I boiled it down, for me, the job of an artist is to express not only ideas, but to express ourselves, right? That's why I love what you're saying, Michelle, because the unique perspective is so important. Because if you are speaking from a very specific heartbreak that you went through, that actually touches me more than generic like High School Musical bullshit, right? Like the same old stories. It's actually super valuable and actually touches me so much more deeply when I hear it from Michelle's perspective, when I hear it from Anastasia's perspective, when I hear it from Deanna's perspective. Not just your stories, because like, for example, Sterling's a beat producer, but how do you hear music? How is the way that you receive reality and share it with the world different than everybody else? And the reason that I wanted to start with that conversation is because I feel like a lot of times artists get lost in the technical side of what we do, in the doing of the things, rather than the being, right? Rather than the, oh, how do I, as a director, say or do or be or create in a way that is different than everybody else, right? Is everybody with me so far? Cool, got some head nods. Thank you. So, for example, me as a director, people are not hiring me because I know what camera to use. People are hiring me like, oh, the way that he leads a group of people is very unique. It's very different. I know a lot of people are jumping in this conversation because they know Nicole the Pole. You're not hiring Nicole because she can crip walk on the ceiling or do little tricks. It looks great, it's fantastic, and it's beautiful. And you're actually hiring Nicole for her personality. Who is she being while she's doing her crip walk on the ceiling, right? Because other people can do it and not have any facial expression, not have any emotions, not have any energy with it, and you're not gonna hire them, right? Now, what's super interesting is that when we start to look at our art, not as the what we do, but how we do it, we realize that we are coming from, like Michelle said, a unique perspective. And the more unique you are, the more rare you are, the more worth and value that you have, right? Because if I'm gonna say like, oh, I'm gonna sell you a sweet potato, there are a shit ton of sweet potatoes in the farm in the world, right? If I say I'm gonna sell you a diamond, we're gonna expect that the price of that is gonna go up, right? Because a diamond is more rare, because a diamond is not as easily accessible, because it's more unique, right? So that's why I think it's so important for an artist, before you start getting concerned about like, oh, like what am I gonna charge, or like how am I gonna do this, or how can I mimic this one person who I really admire? What makes me different? What makes me unique? What makes me irreplaceable? So that the specific clients who really fuck with what I do are calling me and calling my number and paying me. Yeah? Just so you guys know, this conversation is going to start very conceptual, like the shit that I'm talking about right now, and then we're going to move it into the practical, so that we can understand not just these intellectual fun things to talk about, but then we can move it into, okay, Amari, how does that translate into how much I charge and how I find clients, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. So I wanted to bring Nicole specifically into this conversation around self-worth for a very specific reason. When I met Nicole, cool, like again, she does all these amazing tricks, but within like 10 seconds of meeting Nicole, I was like, wow, this person is like one of a kind. I'm not trying to toot her horn right now. It's just a fact, right? Like when you meet Nicole, there is not another Nicole Williams. And it's so funny because immediately I saw this value, but then me and her started having conversations around how she didn't necessarily understand her self-worth, and she was looking at these other people and she's like, well, this person has a studio, or this person has X number of followers. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if you could just have a mirror to your face right now and understand how I've literally never met somebody like you. And if you came up to me right now, you're like, yo, I charge $4 million for a pole party, I'd be like, I don't got it, but I understand why I would have to pay it, right? Because there's nobody like Nicole, right? So I wanted to bring her into this conversation to, one, talk a little bit about her own journey around self-worth, but then she can also talk a little bit about the things that she's navigated, her little tips and tricks that she's found along as you way. So Nicole and Paul Williams, welcome to the party.
Thank you, Amari, for having me. Hello, everyone. So the self-worth conversation around my business is pretty new. It's a topic that came up for me over the last few years. Prior to the last 3 years, I noticed that I had a dialogue in my head, a story that said, people who made more money than me were better than me. Therefore, I was less than. And I realized that I was keeping myself kind of imprisoned in this story. Therefore, if people are better than me and I'm less than, then that means I'm better than people that I have more money than, and then they're less than me, which when I say it out loud is absurd. And I was like, okay, I got to break out of this, because that's not how I really feel. That's not authentic, nor is it like who I really am. So I was like, okay, I got to switch this up. The other thing is the people that I dated, I was afraid to date men who made more money than me because I was like, I got to be making the same thing as them. If I want a man making 6 figures, I got to be making 6 figures. And I held that idea like all into my 20s, early 30s. And then I started saying it out loud to men. And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, nobody cares about that. And so it's so important that you voice these ideas and stories you have in your head out loud and be vulnerable enough to do that so that you can get confirmation of how it's all BS, right? So when I started saying that out loud, I finally changed that and realized that my value is not in the amount of money that I make, but it's in who I am. And I know I'm a dope ass human being, like across the board. And I was like, if I look at all the other areas of my life, I'm like, I'm hitting on the top ranges of those. And then there's just this one other area. And the reason that area is lacking is because I thought because I didn't have that thing, that meant I was less than. Therefore, I'm not being as productive or as creative or really calling forth because I'm not believing in myself because of this one little area. And isn't that crazy how one little area I'm telling myself I'm less than? That makes no sense. It's just like somebody going, well, I'm not a great pole dancer like you, Nicole, so therefore I'm not as valuable. And I would be like, that's BS. You don't have to be like me. So same thing with the money. I don't need to be making the amount of money that somebody else is making to be just as valuable as them. So that was one area. The next area was in business. So just in the last few years, I had a dance studio that I opened up in about 2009. And when I opened my dance studio, I was having fun. I'm pole dancing. Pole dancing is a new thing in the industry. And I'm killing. I'm making six figures now. So I've gone from making $50,000 to $60,000 a year to now where I'm making six figures. And at no point was I ever focused on the money. I was just enjoying teaching pole dance, changing lives. And it helped me to realize that when you're doing what you love, you just make money doing that. And that wasn't my concentration. But when it became my concentration, that's when it all shifted. I remember looking at my bank account one day and going, oh man, I'm making all this money. You know, I got this much money in my checking. I got this much money in my savings and I'm doing good. And there was one day, probably like in 2014, I looked in my account one day and I was like, man, that's not a lot. I was like, that could be gone like that. And it was in that moment that things shifted because I went from thinking abundance to thinking a lacking thought. And then literally that money started draining out my account like super fast. And that was a beautiful lesson. At the time, I was like, fuck, like, what the happened? What did I do wrong? And I realized it was the mindset. My mindset shifted. I went from focusing on my passion to that's not enough. I'm not doing enough. Same thing happens in how I look at myself in business now. I realized that I was not asking for what I wanted in regards to performances, my rate as a performer. And it was because I was thinking how much other people could afford. I was counting how much I thought people could pay me. And it's like, I don't even know these people's bank account. Yet I'm assuming that they don't have enough to pay me or that I'm not worth this amount. And then when I would say that out loud to my friends, they'd be like, Nicole, what the fuck? Like, you motherfucking Nicole the Pole, like, you should be charging more. And then I'd be like, are you serious? Like, you think somebody would really pay me that? They're like, yes. So I started going, okay, let me see. I just did a job the other day, a performance for a record company party. And my normal performance rate is $750 to $1,000. And that used to be like outside my scope. I used to charge $500. And then one of my friends told me one day, you need to charge more. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I set my rate to $750. Next thing you know, I got a call, said that number, somebody paid it. And then I was like, oh, people will pay this. Then I took it up to $1,000. Now, just this past December, I went $1,500. And when I tell you my stomach was bubbling, whoo, and I got it. And then I was like, yo, it was confirmation again that I am worth whatever it is that I say I'm worth, right? You get to set the bar. And I still had a low, right? So I was like, my low is 1,000, but I'm gonna see if I can get 1,500. And I got 1,500. So like when you're choosing your rates and things, you gotta have a low, but you also gotta go for it. Like go for that uncomfortable number. So it's not until you do that you know you can actually get it. And so that's what I've been doing. And it wasn't, and Mari too, he was one of the people that helped me to do that. Like get me into that space, like, yo, like, no, you Nicole the Pole, like you got something more, you bring in energy. And I was like, these people contacted me, which means there's something about me. They didn't contact someone else. And so I really had to step into that. And that's why we're here today, is just to get all of us to realize that we have so much to offer And we don't need to compare, because I can look at other pole dancers and go, this person is better than me, this person is better than me. But at the end of the day, can't nobody do me. Can't nobody bring my energy. Can't nobody bring my personality to a room. Nobody can do that. I can be Nicole the pole. And so
I love that. So there's two things, I know, like round of applause. Thank you, Deanna, for saying round of applause. So two things that I want to drop into that real quick, Nicole, is that if I came up to Deanna right now and I had a rock in my hand and I was like, Deanna, do you understand this rock? I went to Egypt and I found it underneath the pyramids. And as soon as I picked it up, I felt this magic power within me. And every time I look at it, I just feel this surge of energy and inspiration and blah, blah, blah. And I went on and I made it sound super powerful, right? Versus if I came up and I'm like, yo, Deanna, I found this rock. It's kind of cool. You want to buy it? A complete different energy shift within you of how much you're going to pay for the thing, right? So why, as we as human beings, why is we as artists who are super passionate and think our shit is actually super dope, why do we go up to these people who are going to pay us and be like, I kind of went to school for this and I have a couple of awards, versus like, yo, nobody can do this like I can do this. I'm a pole dancer. You invite me to your party, everybody's going to walk away like sweating because, oh my, nobody can do me like Nicole. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that we feel like because as artists, we have to prove something? Like other people have to see the value before something has worth. That doesn't make any sense because that's not how it works in any other scenario. If I'm an accountant and I'm selling you on my friend who's an accountant, I'm like, yo, this guy is serious. This guy can make it happen, blah, 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 right? It's not like, oh, show me your taxes. I'll do the accounting. And then you're going to think I'm worth something. A lot of times we as artists, we're so passionate about what we do, but then when it comes to like treating this thing like a business, we instead opt out to call it like a hobby. And of course, people are going to respond appropriately, right? Like at what point are we going to shift from this mental narrative of like, no, this is not something I do on the side. This is what I do. This is who I am. And as soon as you do that, like Nicole was saying, it might seem like kind of like woo-woo or just like a mindset shift. But really it's true. When you approach people with different energy, they respond accordingly, right? And a lot of times we get in fearful positions because we're like, well, if I say I'm worth this and they don't want to pay it, then now I'm out of a job. Well, first of all, that's scarcity mindset, right? That's going to say like, okay, I'm only going to keep taking these little $100 jobs when I know I'm worth $2,000 every time. Now I got to take 20 of these $100 jobs just to make that one 2,000. Does that make sense? I'm doing quick math, right? So nobody calculated.
Say something on that real quick.
Yes, please, ma'am.
One of the biggest things, you have to go for the number, right? And one of the things that I've had to practice over the last few years is realizing that nobody's ever just going to walk away because of a number that you've given them. They're going to negotiate. Give people the opportunity to say yes or no, but know that they're always going to go yes, or they're going to say, can you do this? And then you get to decide, again, you got to have your low, you got to have what you're not going beneath. And then you say, if you want to adjust, you adjust. If they still say no, be okay with that, because what you're doing is telling the universe, I'm not settling for this, and this is what I want. You have to be okay with that. You have to have faith that in doing this, I'm telling the universe, I want people that are going to pay me this amount. Every single time that I have done that, I have then received a call the next day or within 7 days of somebody paying me the number that I said that I'm saying yes to.
Exactly. Setting a bar for yourself. And the second thing that I wanted to reflect after what Nicole said earlier is she was living in the mindset of like, oh, would somebody pay that? Oh, am I worth this much? And then she had to have friends who came up and reflected, like held up a mirror to her face, like, what are you talking about? I see your work. I see your worth. I see what you do. So for me, I wanted to double down on that, Nicole, because I think it's so important for us to have people around us who can then reflect and will offer us honest, transparent feedback of like, yo, this is what you're worth. Like, honestly, there should also be the friend that be like, yo, why are you charging $300,000, bro? You don't even know what the hell you're doing. But at the same time, you should have the friends who are like, yo, there's no reason you to be making minimum wage off your art when I see the passion, when I see the dedication, when I see the commitment, right? Like, honor yourself and honor the time, not just that you're going to spend on your performance or on the deliverable, also honor the time that you spent learning your craft when nobody was touting your name, right? Like Sterling, when you were learning how to make beats, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that's what the client is paying for. The client isn't paying for an hour of your time right then. They're paying on the knowledge that you aggregated, right? It's like I went to the doctor the other day and man saw me for 15 minutes and then I saw the bill and I was like, this was for 15 minutes. But then you start to understand that it's not about those 15 minutes, about the fact that my man had to stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning in medical school, learning his craft, how to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, he came in and it seemed really smooth and easy, but we have to understand that we and other people who are paying us for so much more than just this moment, just for this little painting, Michelle, that you're doing for people. It's actually all the times that you didn't get paid that they're covering. Yeah. So what we're going to do, unless Nicole, you have anything you want to add to that real quick?
Your friends, the people around you, your peers, they are your mirrors. So every time I've had someone, so I have this little thing where I have it set up with the universe that whenever someone tells me I need to be charging more, I up my rate every single time. And at first I'll be like, are you sure about that? And then I always realize that, again, whatever's coming back to me, that's a mirror for me. So if somebody says, Nicole, you're not charging enough, you need to raise your rate, I go and raise my rates. So if you have somebody telling you, and it's somebody that knows who you are, if they're like, girl, you need to be charging more, up your rate, challenge the universe, make it a game. Okay, let me see. Because that's what it's all about.
And now y'all understand why I charge for the guild, because I gotta pay Nicole after this, and she raised it way too much. So real quick before we move into like the business side of this conversation, like tips and tricks on how to make more money, I want to hear from y'all who did the homework, who's bold enough to stand for it and say, what are the 2 or 3 things that make you different than anybody else in your sphere, in your arena? Sterling, you look like you're ready. Go for it.
Why you call me out like that while I'm yawning? I didn't do the homework, but I can tell you, I didn't see it in the email, okay? I can tell you 3 things that stand out about my work is no 2 beats are gonna be the same. That's for sure. There's always gonna be some kind of out of the box experimentation. And like
and
Nicole
as somebody
was saying,
who's heard your work, I can like vouch for that. And I think that's why me and you first started working together. I was like, oh wow, this is like a very different, unique sound. Like think about it. Think how many people make hip hop beats, and it's just like, haven't I heard this 18 times today on the radio? But yeah, keep going.
Right. Yeah, and to like double down on what Nicole was saying about like nobody's gonna bring your energy, and I'm realizing that for myself through the coaching I'm doing with Amari. Is like my energy and my being is so unique that like it's kind of priceless. I don't know how to describe that to anybody. I just show up and bring it. So that's 2 things, and I guess the third thing is I'm the craving for knowledge for me to like expand my technique, expand my skill. Like that's never going to stop. So I just think that that's a value in itself as well.
Spoken like a coach. I love it. I love that you also use the word priceless, because if you put that on your invoice next time, like, how much you charge? It's priceless. Just put another comment in, right? That changes the entire game. Somebody else, Arlene or Nico, Michelle, Deanna, Priscilla, who else has, yeah, go for it, Deanna.
Hey, so I am Deanna Daniel, or Savage Spinner on Instagram. I started my pole journey about 3 years ago, but I also do the aerial arts and go-go dancing. I feel that my 3 things that I bring would be just what I've been hearing lately, an attraction. People gravitate towards me. I'm able to project my energy, my feelings for people. So if I'm excited, if I'm happy, other people start to feel excited and happy. If I'm sad or insecure, they feel the same way as well. So I have to watch that, monitor that. I'm great at sales. I'm great at networking and getting to know people, so they feel more open to talk to me. And let's see, I have a little cheat sheet here. And the last thing, I have an athletic body from years of training, track and field and martial arts, and people like to look at it, and I like to show it.
I like to look at it.
Great answer. I love that. I love that. That's perfect. Arlene, you're up next. Also, you're on mute. Just so there you go. We can see you, but we can't hear you. You're on mute. Yeah, there's a button at the bottom. You gotta press.
All right, cool. I hate doing Zoom, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm really glad to be part of the Guild. I think it's an awesome concept, and my thoughts are, it is a great concept, actually. My thoughts on what I do well, three things. I'm able to create. I have a new music song, and we just have the video, and it's being released after I get off of this Guild call for Choose Love. And it's my first time doing a music video. I'm actually involved in the music. I've shot before. I do photography, and that's another one of my strengths. I paint. That's another my strength. And I think the strength of my work is in getting people to have inspiration, but also inspiring energy shifts for people. And this past weekend was an amazing experience to be one of the only minority faces in the room, not many, but one of few, and to be considered the lead of an arts committee for an organization that's conservative. I'm not really conservative. They consider themselves middle of the line, but it really is a conservative organization. And to see people dancing to my song and grabbing me and saying, oh my gosh, we want to make this a national initiative to create positive change and get people working for climate resilience, was a great experience. So I think I have the ability to connect people. Did I get all three?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Nico, did you just raise your hand? Cool.
I did. Hi, so I'm Nico from Dallas. I am an artist, well, the singer, and I'm a daughter of a, I'm a daughter of a popular hip hop producer, I guess. And so for my three things, I'm bringing back the 90s sound, all the, I don't know, the ballads. So that's my different thing right now. Most people are singing all the fast songs and club music, but I come from love. And so that's always my come from in everything I do. And so right now I'm really focused on the love songs and all that. My sound is different as well. I don't know. I don't really know my three things. So that's really why I kind of like pick myself to speak.
No, I love that. I love that a lot. I love it. Sorry, did I interrupt you? Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I think that's actually super beautiful because I'm sure we all know who Drake is, right? Whether you listen to Drake or not. And Drake came about in a time when it's like, cool, every rapper is talking about the same three things, right? Cars, women, money, whatever. And all of a sudden we have this little light-skinned dude come up like, I have feelings. And all of a sudden everybody's like, whoa, Black rappers can talk about feelings? That what, right? All of a sudden it was this massive paradox. And now Drake is the biggest artist in the world because he leaned into what made him different, right? But if Drake came through and he's like, yo, you know what I should really rap about? Guns. And everybody's like, oh, cool. Get in line, please. It's like 3 miles down that way. And all of a sudden, even if you do pop off, you just sound like every single other person. And when you're one of a dime of a dozen, then you're not going to get paid as much. And my intention with bringing all y'all into this call is for y'all to be rich as fuck, right? Because we have to lean into this idea of like, everybody like that one. So we have to lean into this idea of like, yo, what makes me different? And I love that you say that, Nico. It's like, yo, everybody's kind of fast right now. I like to slow it down. Like, fantastic. And my challenge to you is to really lean into that, whether it's like in the music when you're like, oh, I feel like I should maybe I should speed this one up. No, slow it down even more, right? Do that from all the way from not just in the execution of the music, but then all the way into like your branding, right? So when people look at you, like, they're like, oh, I get it, right? If Nicole's branding was like her in like a turtleneck sweater, looking very quiet and conservative, people wouldn't get who Nicole the Pole is, right? But you have to express who you are. You have to lean into your brand. You have to trust yourself that like, yo, yes, this is different, and somebody wants to hear it. Somebody wants to see it, right? Like, cool, Sterling, it's like, oh, I could just make another beat like everybody else does, or I can really get funky and just do this little like microwave beeping on my song. Cool, great, fantastic. There's gonna be somebody who's like, yo, that is fire. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Nicole? Go for it.
Nico, what is it that other people tell you about yourself? That they say, yo, this is dope about you. This is amazing about you. What do you hear a lot?
That my energy is real calm, and when they're around me, they feel a lot of warmth and love, and they feel really comfortable around me. I get that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the question again. What's three things that's great about you? So we know the 90s R&B love. What's two other things?
I don't know, loving, I don't know. I know, I don't know, as far as just who I am, or
who you are as a person, not even in regards to the work that you do, but what's amazing about you. And try this on. I know what it is.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I know I'm just well-rounded, and I don't know, this is a really hard question. This is something I don't think about like literally every single day.
Excellent. Perfect.
On the work that you do, but like when it comes to like who I am, speaking on that is like, woo. I know just the work that I've done in the past year, just loving myself, knowing that I'm beautiful, knowing that I'm confident, that I'm on purpose, that I'm a leader, those kind of things. Yeah.
Those are things. Those are the great qualities right there.
Yeah.
I love it. This is getting good. It's getting juicy.
Thank you.
So also, this is why I love doing artist coaching, is because like if you even lean into what just happened there, it's like when you actually become aware of what makes you different, what then comes off of that is then confidence. It's just like Nicole was saying. It's like, yo, when you really say, this is who I am, there is a sense of like ownership. There's a sense of like, yo, when I walk in this meeting with Spielberg, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna tell you what, you heard of 3D, I do 7D. And he's like, he doesn't even know what that is, but I'm confident because I know that's what makes me different, right? When you own who you are, when you know who you are, which is the first step, you then get that confidence. And I guarantee you, you then double, triple, quadruple your income, because when you walk into a conversation around how much are you going to charge, when you say it with confidence, they're like, oh, they must be worth that amount of money. It's a completely different conversation when you get to that point. Yeah? It's getting good. It's getting real juicy. So like, I'm gonna step into that real quick. So like for me, when I first moved to LA and I started directing, I would find myself on set directing some serious ass shit. And I'm like, why is nobody dancing? We got so many breaks. Why don't we turn on some music? Why don't we get people active? Why don't we get people moving? And then I realized that was part of what made me different. It's cool. I like to make inappropriate jokes on set. I like to dance. I like to move. I like to get everybody galvanized, right? I would look at other directors. I'm like, yo, why are you not doing team huddles with your crew and getting them fired up before you start? It's not because they're better or worse. It's just because that is my mode of being. That is the way I do my thing, right? And then when you have executive producers come in, they're like, yo, I really need somebody who's going to get this crew through this hard shoot. You're going to go with this guy rather than that guy. And cool, when you come to this guy's going to charge you at your ass, right? Cool. Sorry, I'm going to add somebody else to the call. Beautiful. So now that we've had a wonderful, fantastic conversation around the conceptual side, I want us to turn it into a practical, cool, how can I walk away from this call knowing a little bit more of how I can make more money by being myself as a creative, as a freelancer, as a business person? So when me and Nicole sat down and had these conversations, the summary of what we got to is that a lot of the times the reason that artists live in this starving artist narrative or are struggling to pay the bills is because we, again, treat it like a hobby, not like a business. And it's kind of like paradoxical, because the reason we're good at what we do is because we have so much heart and because we have so much energy and so much passion for our things. But don't let that cloud. When you walk in, you've got to have your contracts. When you walk in, you've got to have a cancellation policy. When you treat it like a business, people are going to respond appropriately, right? And for you to have the title to say, yo, I'm a full-time artist, what does that mean? That means that all of my expenses are covered by this art that I create, these things that I do, right? So why do I say that? let's use a very easy example. If I say all of my expenses are $2,000 a month and I'm a singer, I can do 4 singing gigs a month based on how much time I have to prep and make a song and whatever. If I can do 4 singing gigs a month and I know I have to make $2,000, I'm not budging on you will pay me $500 for each of these singing gigs. But a lot of times, what do artists do? They come in, they're like, oh yeah, like what's your budget? Or what can you work with? Or da, 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 da. And it's like, cool, great. You got 18 people to come to your show, but now it's the end of the month and you have no idea how to pay your bills. And then you have to start sacrificing and compromising and say like, oh yeah, I'm a singer and I have to take this job that I don't really want to take. If we start to really treat it like a business makes sure that all of its expenses, all of its overhead are covered every single month by the thing that it does. Does that make sense? I just wanted to bring that into the conversation because I feel like a lot of times we approach it like, oh, it's my artistry and it's supplemental. It's cool, like get some supplemental income. And if you really want to live the life of a full-time artist, you set your rate according to the expenses that you will incur every single month. And there's no negotiating on that. And when you approach it like that and you have a conversation where somebody's trying to short you, then you're like, no, thank you. I appreciate it. But now like Nico, now I can't pay for my kid. That's not something that gets to happen, right? Nicole has a couple tips and tricks that she's learned her journey that she wants to share from a practical standpoint. So go ahead, mama.
So one of the first things is actually knowing what you bring to the table. So like Nico, it was hard to think of it, what that was, right? So imagine, how can you say, I want to charge this, but I'm not confident in what it is that I'm bringing, right? So you get to make a list, write down, what are all the things that I'm bringing that are valuable? Write that down. Spend some time on it, ask other people too. Yo, what is it that makes me great? What do you like about me? And really start to get into that place, because once you know, you then get to become confident in that. And when you're confident, you are now more valuable. When you are confident, now people see you as the diamond, right? Because you're blinging. You have all these different facets to yourself. So that's one. Number 2, you have to get yourself out of this, I'm the starving artist, I'm the inspiring artist, this lacking mindset narrative. If you're an artist, I'm an artist. I'm a professional pole dancer, a personal trainer, and a life coach. There was a time where I was afraid to put all 3 of those things in combination. I thought I had to be one. And that's where I started struggling a little bit over the last 3 years. Once I got confident, everybody reminded me, Nicole, what makes you unique is the fact that you are a pole dancer, a personal trainer, and a life coach. Once I heard that enough, I started going, this is who I am. So when people ask me what it is that I do, professional pole dancer, personal trainer, I'm a life coach. I work on people's mind, body, and spirit. That's what I do. You know what I mean? And then people get it. So make sure the narrative about yourself is a positive narrative, and that you are confident in the narrative that you're giving out. So that's one. Number 2, know your rates. What's your rates? If it's not on a website, if it's not on a paper at your house, guess what you're telling the universe? Pay me whatever. You got to have your rates down somewhere. You have to know what it is. My rates are on my website. So when somebody says, Nicole, what do you charge for private training? $125 an hour. Nobody's going to negotiate that with me because it's already stated. It's in stone. I don't ever budge on that because that's what it is. What do I charge for a 2-hour pole party? $450. I don't care what anybody else charges. I've had people ask me like, oh, I saw another studio that charges $350. You can go to the studio that charges $350 then. But guess what? That studio can only handle one party at a time. There are dozens, hundreds of people looking to book a party on a Friday at 8 o'clock. Only one person can't handle all those. That's why you got to be firm in what it is that you're asking for, because guess what? There's somebody out there that needs you. There's somebody that needs me at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. So I'm staying firm in my rate, letting the universe know, yo, bring me somebody that's paying me my $125 an hour for the private, my 2 hours for the $450 for the party. So post your rates, know what that is, get that in stone, because once you set it in stone, the universe is going to start bringing you people that can then pay that rate. Next thing is create your policies. If you look at every business that you interact with, when you go to a store, you have 30 days to return this. When you go to the doctor, they tell you, or the dentist, you have 6 hours to cancel, or you got a $25 cancellation fee. And you know, most of these businesses, they are not budging on that shit. And you don't ever question it because you take them serious because they enforce it. You got to have the same type of policies. I have a cancel policy. If you're not at in my lobby, because I have a home studio, I put it in the email and I say it about 5 times. If you're not in the lobby at class start time, when I leave the lobby, I'm not coming back down. You will miss your class, you will void your credit. I enforce that shit. And then I send them a text the day of reminding them of that, right? So there is no room for anybody to say, you know, I was just a minute late. A minute late is a minute late. I'm making you be in integrity with that. And by enforcing it, I'm integrity with my business. In 3 years, I have not had a person, I've had 2 people show up late. They did not call me asking for a refund. I'll tell you that. Because I'm being in alignment with my policies. So have your policies. What's your late policy? What's your cancel policy? What's your, you know, whatever it is, whatever kind of, your travel. What's your travel rate? You got to have a travel rate. If you're doing a business where you have to go somewhere, start calculating those numbers. If you don't know what to charge, look at what other people are doing and then set that up for yourself, because your time is your time. You're not just doing that job. You also have to go there and you got to leave and come back, whatever that is. So get that set and then enforce it. And don't be afraid to enforce it, because again, if you want people to take you serious, you have to take you serious. What is this the next thing? Oh, my favorite. No one can cheat. No one can cheat you. You can only cheat yourself. And I like to say, don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. Okay. You get to decide for yourself, you know, what you're going to allow, and be responsible for the decisions that you make, and stop blaming others, because that's BS.
Amen, Pastor. Preach it.
Okay. Did you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna make sure you didn't forget the thing where you talk about the free work.
Oh yes. So of course we'll get people like, you know, people that don't know us or friends. They'll be like, you know, can you do this job for me for free? Or, you know, for advertisement, you know, I got a lot of followers. Guess what? Them followers can't pay your bills. I had a social media influencer. There was like a management company that contacted me the other day. And in this email, they were like, this person has 2 million followers. We wanted to know if we could exchange. And in my mind, I'm like, there is no guarantee that your followers are going to sign up for me. Therefore, there is no value in that. And I responded with that. And guess what? I booked a party the next day that paid me my rate. And you have to be, you gotta know that, like, unless you can really see value in something, like there's been music videos that I've done that didn't pay the rate that I want, but then I had to look at, is there value for me in booking this video with this artist? Going, if I'm in this video, okay, they're paying me $200 less than what I want, but I know this artist being in this video, people are gonna know that's me, and that's gonna bring me clients. Like I did Rihanna Pour Up video in 2013. I'm still booking because of that video. So that video could have paid me $1. I still would have won, because I've made thousands, like tens of thousands of dollars, because I was in that one video. So when you're looking at things like that, if you're gonna kind of gauge on your rate, make sure there's value in it for you. Like I told the person that emailed me the other day, I said, I can do my rate in half, but I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you either taking video and photos, or me having somebody that did video and photos, so that I could use that for my own advertising purposes. So I threw in something to where it would be valuable for me. And that didn't work for them. I was like, thank you. And then the other thing is, make sure if you're going to do free jobs, let those free jobs be for yourself. I have a friend that is a photographer and a videographer, and he wants to book Nike commercials and Reebok commercials and these things. So he goes out and makes his own commercials. He'll take photo shoots with Colgate, showing his winning smile, putting out the energy that he has booked that Colgate commercial. Somebody that works for Colgate may see that commercial. He'll do Nike shoot videos. And it's like, if you're going to do free work, do it so that somebody sees it and goes, yo, that shit is dope. I want to work with that person. Versus somebody that's a friend who's coming to you, or somebody that doesn't know you and like, hey, can you just do this for me for free? And it's only benefiting them. So make sure that on a weekly basis, you're putting time into your craft and creating value for yourself. Like really look at how many hours are you putting into your craft when you're not actually being booked for work? And that will directly correlate to how much business is actually coming back to you. So for instance, you may say, I'm an artist, or you're an actor. When are you acting? A lot of people are like, well, I didn't book no job, so I'm not acting. You should still be acting, creating your own videos, making your own little, whatever that, like Vine used to be a thing, making your own Instagram skits. Be doing the work that it is that you say you want to do. For me, I'm a pole dancer and I'm personal training. What do I need to be doing when I'm not actually doing those things? Practicing on my pole skills, working out in the gym, keeping myself strong so that when people see my arms, they like, yo, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a personal trainer and a pole dancer. Because of the work that I've done on my body, I'm always a walking advertisement. I'm always posting videos of me doing my craft so that when people see it, they go, I want to book her. Okay, that's it.
I love it. I love it a lot. No, I think you hit them all. Fantastic. One thing that I want to lean into that you just said, Nicole, it was a couple minutes ago, but it was this idea of if you had taken that gig with the 2 million follower person, whatever, I think that one perspective that has helped me as an artist, and I think would support a lot of creatives, is like, cool, imagine if Nicole said, yes, I will do this free job for you, Mr. Social Media Influencer person. And then 2 hours later, somebody's like, hey, I'm going to book you for a $3,000 thing. And it happens to be the same time that you just booked this free gig for yourself. All of a sudden now, because Nicole has said yes, she's lost out on the $3,000 gig because she's, a business person and going to treat her shit like a business. So she's not going to be out of integrity and quit after she said yes. Right? A lot of times we're like jumping after these things from a scarcity complex. And then we end up missing out on the things that actually were for us, the things that actually could provide value for us in our lives. Yeah? Beautiful and fantastic, wonderful. Before I move into the next section, does anybody have any comments, any questions, anything that they want to say from the last section? Because I know Nicole hit y'all with a lot of stuff. Anything, Veronica smiling. Anastasia hasn't moved in an hour.
Questions,
anybody
concerns?
Yeah, questions, comments, concerns, or compliments also being accepted as well.
Nicole, does this mean that I get to charge you for headshots?
No, because you already offered it for free. Boom!
You played yourself.
But I'm the type of person that will tithe. I will give back. I gotta share on this. When people do things for you, do something back. I tithe. I will give money. I will do something of being in service for them. And then I make sure that I also teach that to the people that I do things for. So like I book a lot of pole dancers for other jobs. I charge 10% on the jobs that I book them. Why? I didn't have to book them. And I was the source for creating that for them. It would behoove them to be like, yo, let me hook you back up so you keep me in your circle of abundance. If you want people to constantly be doing for you, you got to do for them. The reason I am so abundant in the jobs and opportunities that I book is because I'm always looking out for me and others. And that actually excites me. I'm not just thinking about myself. So be thinking about how can you affect more people? Because the more people you affect, you then multiply your abundance, right? So like if you're going to do a job like Sasha, you're doing something for somebody. You're giving out a free photo shoot. Ask for something in return still. You've already said free, right? So you're not going to get money back, but you might get just because you can put it out there. I would like it if people did tithe to me. Or you can say, hey, can you give me a testimonial?
Right.
Can you shout me out on your page? Can you tell your friends about me? You have to ask. You can't expect people to do what you haven't even put into their mindset because everybody doesn't think like that. I offered somebody a job the other day and I forgot to ask for the 10% up front. Guess what that person told me when I mentioned it later? Because you didn't ask for it, because you didn't verbally ask for it verbally or put it in a written statement, I'm deciding I'm not going to give you I'm deciding I'm not going to give you that 10%. I was like, okay, I got to suck that one up. And then I had to decide, is that somebody I want to have in my circle of abundance? And then I also had to realize they don't carry the same mindset that I do. She was much younger. She's not thinking like I do, right? She's not thinking like, yo, this person just hooked me up with this high paying job. I should want to hook them up because I want her to book me for more jobs. Everybody don't think like me. So I had to suck that one up, knowing that the reason I didn't get that was because I didn't handle my business. I forgot to ask for it up front, right? But I also get to decide, they're not vibrating when I'm vibrating. Not doing anything for them again. Or have the opportunity to coach them and say, hey, this is what I'm really asking for, and this is what I want to teach you about why it's important that we keep this circulation, giving and receiving. I gave you something, you would want to give back to that, right? So that it can keep coming, and not just through me, but through other people. So be in a stance for yourself to get something back. I barter with my hairstylist. She does my hair, I coach her, and I train her. So we're both giving something back to each other. And there's no money exchange, but there's an energy exchange. Exchange is just a value. Money has value. Your service has value. Your words have value. Saying thank you has value. Doing something for somebody else, it all has value. And you just got to ask for it, but you also have to give it.
I think that's really beautiful, because when you say that, Nicole, the two words that come to mind are accountability and assertiveness. I think a lot of times as artists, we kind of walk around expecting like somebody's going to look at us and be like, oh my God, you're so talented and you're amazing. Here's $7 billion. That's actually not what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, not a lot of times, every time it's about when you walk into that room, are you going to assert that this is what I want? This is my rate, right? It's not on anybody else to assume that this is what they want to give you. Everybody else is treating their business like a business as well. So they're trying to cut their costs. They're not out here like, I'm trying to feed the artistic community and make sure that it's alive and thriving. They're not worried about that. But they are worried about like, okay, cool, let me make sure everybody is paid what my invoice says. So if you're telling them that you're worth less than you are, there's literally nobody you can blame but yourself. And a lot of times I walk around with this resentment, like, man, people don't understand the work that I do. Bro, because I wasn't telling them the work that I do. Like, what are you talking about? It's all about self-accountability. It is up to you as the artist to charge your worth. It is up to you to say that this is what I'm walking away with, or I'm walking away right now. Yeah? Beautiful, fantastic. So we're gonna wrap this up in just a second. But there's one thing that I want to say as we move on is because, first of all, Nicole, I really appreciate you jumping on this. I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation. And it's just, for me, is a very good representation of what the Guild is. Not what the Guild can be, but what the Guild is. It's us as an artist community, as supporting each other through this experience of like, yo, what are the experiences that I can pass along to you, Nico, to you, Deanna, to you, Sterling, to you, Anastasia. Everybody here can provide value. And somebody like Nicole coming in can be like, hey, I can give you my life lesson so that you don't have to trip up the same way I trip up, right? So that when you walk into your next meeting, Arlene, you know that you're not about to charge less than you're worth. And now all of a sudden, we as an artist community are thriving. Yeah? So that's why I wanted to make the Guild. I know y'all enjoy this thing being free, but it's just not sustainable. So this is the part where I tell y'all this is the last time that the Guild will be for free, but the Guild will continue. Every 2 weeks, we'll be having conversations with people like Nicole, people like Christoph last week. We got tons of fun people coming in to talk about very beautiful concepts with very nuanced perspectives. I'm doing it for $65 a month going forward. So if anybody wants to join, I'm closing it after tonight. Thank you to Kenzie. So I appreciate you, Sasha. Thank you. But yeah, this is the part where I really want to move forward with people who are ready to invest in themselves, not just the money, because, you know, it's not about the money. It's about like saying like, yo, I am going to take my art seriously. This is no longer going to be my hobby. Michelle, Arlene, Kaylee, Ryan, Priscilla, Sterling, Nico, all of you, if you are passionate enough about your art, if you care enough about your art, you deserve to make that your life. That can be your life. It is very possible. A couple years ago, if Nicole was like, hey, I want to be a pole dancer, there's probably some people like, you want to be living on the street? But that's no longer the case. Now she's Nicole the pole, right? Because she was willing to put in the time and the effort and the investment in herself in order to make that shit happen. And my dream is that everybody on the Guild fucking pops off and we have an Oscars after party, and that shit is beautiful and lit AF for $65 a month. Thank you, Sasha. I just got your message. So yeah, membership on that closes for tonight. One thing that I'm also offering, if people do want to jump in the Guild, is you get access to people like Nicole. There will be a special group set up after every single call, where you will get direct coaching and direct questions and direct conversation from these facilitators. So imagine being able to like hit up Spielberg and be like, yo, who's your babysitter? Asking personal questions from these artists. That's the plan. Give me a year and then I'll bring on Spielberg. I'm still working on my shit on my end.
Can I chime in?
Yes, mama.
So this is for everybody on the call. This is also including for myself. $65, right? Deanna, you do pole classes. We pay like $30 for a pole class. You pay for 2 pole classes. Does that add anything to you as an entrepreneur, artistry, boom, 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 right? Is that making you better? Like, be willing to invest in yourself. The same way you want people to invest in you, you have to invest in yourself. So you want to sign up for things like this. Just like if you were to buy 3 books, it would probably take you 3 months to go through those books. Why not pay $65 for something that in 2 calls in a month, you can get so much value, which then increases your value. I used to pay $600 a month for a life coach. Guess what that led to? Me making 6 figures in my business because of all the tools and skills that I learned. It's the reason that I invest in myself. When I pay for classes, I pay for gymnastics, is to make me a better athlete and artist. But we forget to invest in the mental stuff. This is the shit that matters. It don't matter how strong I am. If I don't mentally know how to do business, how to bring my energy out, how to be happy, joyous, meditate, read, like if I don't know how to bring all that stuff out, my body does not matter. My skill does not matter. This is the type of shit that you want to invest in for yourself.
Big, that was well said. Thank you, Nicole. And just like specifically, like obviously like any person can use like business advice, but I think especially like us as artists, there are so many mental gymnastics that we go through, right? It's the self-worth conversations, it's the doubt, it's the not even the business and the financials, but it's like productivity, things that I want to provide you all with like direct conversation, direct feedback, and direct coaching on, so that way we can take ourselves to the next fucking level. Yeah. So hit me up through email or through Instagram, kyng.imari. If you're interested, like I said, I'm closing it today. Next time we're going to get on and pop in and we're going to get our accountability partners. So that is going to be the person in the guild that holds you accountable to getting your shit done, checking in on you, making sure you're good in the interim time between me having these calls. Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful and fantastic. Oh, thank you, Dana. I saw the clap. Does anybody have anything they want to say, anything they want to jump in? Y'all can end the conversation however you want to end it. Is there anything that's on your heart, on your mind, on your spirit that you got to get off your chest? So Kenzie, I think, is doing something. Go ahead, Sasha.
I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Anastasia.
What are some of the topics that are gonna be next on Guild?
Oh, yes. I'm going to pull that up on my computer right now, and then somebody ask another question while I pull that up. Or y'all can just like awkwardly watch me pull this up.
I just want to say thank you
It's
all.
11 o'clock.
Oh, it's 11 o'clock. I just want to say thank you all for being here, and thank you, Imari and Nicole, for making this the last call that is free so I could see what it is. I love accountability partners. This is definitely something that I want to do, and I just appreciate you for creating
it. To answer your question, Anastasia, some of the things that are coming up are how to pitch a project to anyone at any time. I know that's something that's come up a lot with coaching with Sasha and with Sterling, the ability and the hacks and how to go to anybody and say like, this is what I'm going to charge, or I need you to do my project, whatever. We talked about procrastination last time, how to give and take artistic feedback, where to find validation in yourself or with awards, a practical guide to setting your rates is one of the sessions, how and where to find inspiration. There's a lot of cool shit coming up, not just from like practical things like business, but also like internal things like self-worth, and also little hacks like being an artist, like for example, how to pitch yourself, how to connect with other people, different ways to find communities for artists in your realm. Yeah, there's probably too many sessions that I got lined up with too many people. But if anybody wants like a full list of all these, I can send it to y'all because it's some good times coming. Yeah? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dan.
Is it normally on Mondays?
Yes, it is right now planned for the first and third Mondays, but we can shift that going forward if everybody is in alignment with it. My idea and my intention is to keep it to like 15 to 20 people because I want it to be intimate. Last time we did this, we had like 50 people sign up. And there's 25 people on the call, and then another 60 people who watch the recording of the session, because all of the sessions are recorded, so you can always reference. Yeah.
I just want to say accountability is so important. Like, we can have these conversations, and then we can also get like these topics from these kinds of spaces. But I think what's most important is what is Amari setting up is actually people in your life that is going to like support you when you do play those mental gymnastics. So as soon as like Nicole tells me this information, like, yes, I know my worth. And then 2 days later, I'm in this situation now. Now what am I going to do? So it's so great that you have it set up where then people are going to just like be reminders of each other, that alarm clock to, girl, this is what you're charging. This is who you are, because we forget. So it's just, this is just a beautiful group to like remind everyone who they are.
Right, exactly. It's the difference between like us getting all motivated and being like, I'm going to charge that client $500. And then we all check in a week later and everybody's like, how much did you charge them? I did it for free. All of a sudden it's a very different conversation, right?
Like, okay,
and no more of that. We don't need. Yeah, so back at it again next week. Cool. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Again, every time we do this, even though it's only been twice, I get super motivated and inspired to keep doing it because I love seeing y'all smiling faces, and there's just so much fucking value here. We all have so many beautiful perspectives, so much knowledge, and so much creativity that we can offer the world. And yeah, I'm excited for all of us to meet up in real life at all the award shows that we'll be at.
Yeah.
And we'll all be making commissions and residuals off of Nicole's Rihanna video. Cool. So I'll let you close it out, Nicole, if there's anything you want to say to the people before we all go to bed.
I just want to say that I acknowledge all of you for being on this call because it's an action. It means that you're saying, yo, I want to take my game to the next level. So know that you did that today by being here. You saying I'm ready to level up. So you got some information today that you get to start putting into action. If like you said, like you have access to us, you can message me and be like, yo, so I just got offered this, check in. I've had that. Like, I think I called him where I was like, yo, I almost didn't charge my rate. And then I had to have somebody tell me like, bitch, charge this number. So that's what the accountability is, reminding you like, oh, hey, you said you was going to do this. Let's do this. Right. So I just want to say thank you. I'm saying thank you. And you guys are all amazing. And I look forward to seeing what comes out of you. And I'm looking forward to more 90s R&B love in the 2020s, girl.
Good fucking times. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining. Y'all all have my email address, so hit me up. But yeah, 24 hours, we're gonna make this thing start popping off, all right?
And tell your friends about this.
Tell all your little friends.
Tell people.
Tell them they gotta hurry up. Cool. All right. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night and keep creating good shit. All right. Much love. Deuces. Adios. Oh, you so great.